If rivers could tell stories, what would be the story Paddy's River would tell? It could tell us about large tectonic events, fires roaming the country, or a recent story of people and the changes they brought to the catchment. How the riparian vegetation, which used to grow on the banks providing food and shelter for animals, was cleared. How the banks became less stable and sediment load in the channel increased dramatically once these trees and shrubs were gone. And finally, how the aquatic animals left when their habitat disappeared under sheets of sand, and the Paddy's River was left as a poor reflection of its former self. This story needs a happy ending, so we turn to river restoration, which is the topic of my research. Imagine you could see a catchment as a mosaic of atoms and molecules. The soil, water, atmosphere, organisms all would have a distinct composition of chemical elements. You would also see a busy atom traffic among the soil, water, atmosphere, and the organisms, just like a huge recycling machine, where living creatures would be the engine of the system. The other player in the system would be the chemical and physical forces, which are constantly trying to remove these nutrients from the resource, but the animals and plants keep pumping them back, and this keeps the recycling machine running. If we clear a catchment, how would the recycling machine respond? Well, there will be fewer plants to capture resources and few animals to recycle the nutrients. But the physical and chemical forces I mentioned, they wouldn't change, and they would just continue removing these nutrients from the system. And the resources would go back to the atmosphere or the water. When a tiny particle enters the water, whether it's soil water or river water, it travels with the flow until the animals or plants capture it back. In a cleared catchment, such as Paddy's, all the resources, meaning nutrients and soil, are washed away, and the rivers take them downstream until they are trapped in reservoirs where they create many, many problems. What is the purpose of letting these resources be washed away if they end up in a reservoir where they create a problem, if we want to have them in a catchment where they can be more useful? Where obviously there's no point in that, and that's where my research and restoration comes in. I'm looking at the ways how we might best restore some of the ecosystem functions in this system so that more resources stay there and less travel downstream. This river is telling a very sad story in the present, as you can see. My research will mean that one day the story of the Paddy's River will have a happy ending. Thank you.